Memory 7. The two ships Chilori had been told to expect were already waiting at the rendezvous when he arrived. Chilori studied them as he approached the pulsing lights that marked the starboard access hatch on the smaller of the two. Neither ship was a design he recognized, though the smaller ship was configured like a yacht, while the larger looked more like a freighter or possibly a low-rent passenger transport. The smaller one, he decided, was probably Jixtus's. He inhaled deeply, his cheek winglets fluttering with anxiety. Jixtus's summons had come much sooner after their initial meeting than he'd expected, right in the middle of a job he couldn't back out of. He'd had to sweat pine fruit to get here on the alien schedule, and he'd almost not made it. But there the two ships were, already linked together by boarding tunnels, their thrusters showing no residual heat. By Chilori's estimate, that meant they'd been waiting for at least 6 hours, possibly longer, possibly a lot longer. At their first meeting, Jixtus had threatened to leave Chilori stranded in the vast emptiness between stars if he didn't cooperate. Jixtus's chosen rendezvous was in very much that same grade of nowhere. The summons had instructed him to not announce himself by comm, but to dock directly with the smaller ship when he arrived. Maneuvering carefully, the last thing he needed was to put a dent in Jixtus's hull. He floated up to the marked hatch and attached his landing tube and a trio of maglock tethering cables. He shut down his systems to standby and headed to the hatch, sternly telling his cheek winglets to behave themselves. He'd expected Jixtus to be waiting impatiently on the other side of the hatch. Instead, there was an unfamiliar alien standing there, his wrinkled facial skin a mix of dark red and dirty white, his lipless mouth almost invisible within those folds, his bright black eyes gazing unblinkingly at Chilori. "I am Chilori of Wuandualan." Chilori identified himself in Tarja as he closed the hatch behind him. "Good day, Pathfinder," the alien replied in Minisiat. "I am Haplif of the Agbui. We've been waiting for you. Come." He turned and strode down the corridor. Again trying to calm his winglets, Chilori followed. The room Haplif led them to was something of a shock. It wasn't an office or command center, but more of a meditation room, with soft carpet underfoot and floating threads and light globes overhead. Seated in what appeared to be a self-contouring chair at the far side of the room was Jixtus. At least Chilori assumed it was Jixtus. With his face concealed by a black veil, his hands encased in gloves, and a loose robe and hood covering everything else, he might have been any other biped alien, or for that matter, a statue, a mannequin, or even one of the mechanical robotics of lesser space legends. "Welcome, Chilori of Wuandualan," the figure said, lifting a hand and gesturing to a pair of chairs facing him. "Be seated, both of you." It was Jixtus's voice, and the hand movement proved at least that the hooded figure wasn't a statue or mannequin. It could still be a robotic, though. "Thank you," Chilori said, walking to one of the chairs and easing himself gingerly down into it. "Self-contouring, all right. I want to apologize for being late," he continued as Haplif sat down in the other chair. "I was on a job, and I thought that abandoning it would bring attention you probably wouldn't want." "As well as damaging your professional reputation?" Jixtus suggested. "My reputation is important," Chilori said. "Not just to me, but to you as well. Any future jobs you want me to do." "Any future jobs will depend on how well you complete this one," Jixtus interrupted calmly. "So will any future. You understand?" Chilori's cheek winglet. The damn hooded alien could have said that in the first place. "Your part is twofold," Jixtus continued. "First, you will travel with Haplif and his group, pretending to be his navigator." "Pretending?" Chilori asked, frowning. "Also remaining out of sight of his passenger," Jixtus went on, ignoring the interruption. "When the time is right, Haplif will offer your services to his mark, and you will navigate their ship to a planet whose coordinates he will give you. You will pretend you've been there before and provide answers to any questions they may have about it." "Answers that will be supplied by me," Haplif said. "Don't worry, we'll have plenty of time to go over the whole story." "What if they ask a question you haven't covered?" Chilori asked. "In that case, you'll just tell them you don't know," Haplif said. "You're only a navigator after all. There's no reason they should expect you to know everything." "All right," Chilori said. So far, this seemed simple enough. Do I then bring them back, or take them somewhere else? Of course you'll bring them back, Haplif said, the skin of his face wrinkling even more. I'm weaving a path to their destruction. Why would I settle for one dead when I can have all of them? It was just a question, Chilori said hastily. For all his bland and almost comical appearance, this Haplif creature had a definite blood streak in him. I don't know anything about this sort of thing. Who will I be navigating for? A minor Chiss official from a minor Chiss world, Haplif said. That's all you need to know. Chilori tensed again, feeling his winglets flatten across his cheeks. May I ask if you anticipate any military action? Haplif snorted. What's the problem, Pathfinder? Are you afraid of a little laser fire? I'm afraid of professionals who think they can casually stray out of their area of expertise. Chilori shot back. You talk of weaving a path to destruction. Fine. This is obviously some sort of con game, and I have no doubt you know what you're doing. I just don't want it to morph into warfare you might not be ready for, especially since I'll be squarely in the middle of it. There will indeed be military action, Pathfinder, Jixtus said, but it won't involve Haplif, and you won't be anywhere near it. Is that good enough? Chilori felt his winglets quiver. Arguing with Jixtus was undoubtedly dangerous, but walking into a Chiss battle would be worse. With all due respect, sir, that depends on who's doing the shooting, he said carefully. There are Chiss I would never face if there were any other alternatives. Yes, we know all about them, Haplif said impatiently. Supreme General Bakif, Admiral Aralani, one or two of the younger commodores. And Senior Captain Thrawn, Chilori interrupted. Haplif made a rude sound. A senior captain? You must be joking, my lord, we're wasting time. Patience, Haplif of the Agbui, Jixtus said, a note of curiosity in his voice. You've mentioned that name to me before, Pathfinder, have you not? I have, Chilori confirmed. He was the one who took down General Yiv. Nonsense, Haplif said. I've seen the reports. It was Aralani who led the battle over Premia from the Vigilant, assisted by Senior Captain Lakinda of the Greyshrike and Mid-Captain Samakro of the Springhawk. I didn't say he defeated the Nikardan, Chilori said stiffly. I said he took down Yiv, that he personally took down General Yiv. Yiv had his own battle dreadnought, Jixtus said mildly. Thrawn had a one-person freighter, Chilori said. Are you starting to understand who this Chiss is? Haplif shook his head. No, I don't believe it. I was there, Haplif, Chilori said. I saw it, and on one level I don't even believe it, but it happened. He looked back at Jixtus. Again, with respect, sir, if you listen to me on anything, please listen to me on this. If Thrawn gets involved in this operation, it's over, and not in a good way. For a long moment the room was silent. Chilori waited, his cheek winglets fluttering. In the vast emptiness between stars. If Jixtus decided to take offense at Chilori's words or his tone, I had wondered why the officially listed commander of the Springhawk wasn't named in the rolls of the battle, Jixtus said at last, his voice more thoughtful than angry. Perhaps it would be wise to arrange for this Senior Captain Thrawn to be elsewhere when Haplif's web-weaving comes to its completion. Would that make you happy, Chilori of Yuan-Dualan? Yes, sir, Chilori said, feeling his winglets settle down a bit, though I'd be happier if he could be eliminated entirely. What, a military man who can defeat a battle dreadnought with a freighter? Jixtus asked drily. Still another good thought. I'll see what I can arrange. Thank you, sir, Chilori said. What do you want me to do to help? You? From behind Jixtus's veil came an amused chuckle. Please, if General Yiv couldn't handle Thrawn, I doubt you can. Besides, I thought you wanted to stay clear of the shooting, Haplif muttered. At any rate, you have your assignments, Jixtus said. And no, Pathfinder, I'll make my own arrangements for this Thrawn. Hints and rumors in the right ears should remove him a sufficient distance from Haplif's web. He gestured, a wave that encompassed both Chilori and Haplif. You may go. Thank you, sir, Chilori said. He worked his way out of his chair, looking sideways at Haplif as he did so. If the Agbui resented the fact that Jixtus had taken Chilori's side of the argument, there could be trouble once they were together and out of Jixtus's sight. But there was nothing ominous he could see in Haplif's expression. Apparently, he was the kind of good soldier who didn't let his pride get in the way of following his commander's decisions. That, or he was too busy getting out of his own chair right now to worry about such things. You will leave your ship here. Chilori, Jixtus continued. Haplif will bring you back to retrieve it when the job is finished. Yes, sir, Chilori said, trying to keep his winglets steady. He'd taken the ship out on a recompensed favor, and there would be livid hell to pay back at the concourse if he held on to it too long. But he'd survived one argument with Jixtus. He had no intention of risking a second. Out of the corner of his eye he saw that Haplif, now back on his feet, had given Jixtus a little bow. Chilori did likewise, then turned to follow Haplif toward the hatch. One more thing, Chilori, Jixtus said. Chilori turned back, his winglets twitching. Yes? You've navigated many Chiss ships, have you not? Jixtus asked. Yes, sir, Chilori said. More of them than he'd ever wanted to, actually. Freighters and long-range transports? Some, Chilori said, wondering where the hooded alien was going with this. A few diplomatic ships as well. Any warships? One or two. Chilori winced at the memory. Thrawn hired me to navigate for him a couple of times. And yet, it appears that most Chiss military craft don't hire navigators at all, Jixtus said. Would you agree? I don't know, Chilori said, his winglets fluttering again. I can only speak from my own experience, though now that you mention it, I don't recall other Pathfinders talking about such jobs. That leaves two possibilities, Jixtus said. Either the Chiss have their own group of navigators, some aliens hidden on an obscure world of the Ascendancy. He paused. Or they have a means of finding their way through the chaos without navigator assistance. Chilori frowned. What other means could there be? It is said that millennia ago, the Chiss adventured into lesser space, taking part in wars between two hostile factions over vast and ever-shifting regions, Jixtus said, his voice again thoughtful. Those factions reportedly had special navigational techniques that involved computers or mechanical constructs. Even now, those you think the Chiss may have brought some of those devices back when they got tired of the wars and withdrew to the Ascendancy? Possibly, Jixtus said. And no, I don't expect you to solve this mystery for me at this time, but be aware that the mystery exists and be watchful. He gestured toward the hatch. Now go. Yes, my lord, Haplif said. With another bow, he turned again and left the meditation room. Chilori did the same, then hurried to catch up. We'll go back to your ship and get whatever luggage you need, Haplif said as they walked together down the corridor. Shut everything down good, because we won't be back for a while. Understood, Chilori said, his mind spinning with possibilities. If the Chiss were using something electronic, and if the device could be stolen or copied, space travel would suddenly be opened up in a way that hadn't been possible for thousands of years. Whoever owned such a device could dictate to the entire chaos, gaining immense wealth and power along the way. Except that it would be Jixtus, not him, who had that wealth and power. Chilori himself would have nothing, not even his job, possibly not even his life. He felt his winglets give one last flutter before settling against his cheeks. Yes, he would look for clues to the